Welcome back to the PSG coverage of Assassin's Creed. The goal of this series is to tell you the core plot of every single Assassin's Creed game and how it links to the greater picture, and then we're going to be deep diving into a lot of the elements of the Assassin's Creed lore. This is one of my all-time favorite franchises, guys, and I love doing this kinds of a thing, so thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be covering Assassin's Creed 2, which was the introduction of Ezio Auditore. Now, let's begin. When we last left off, Desmond was still captured by Abstergo at the end of Assassin's Creed 1. Although he is still imprisoned by Abstergo and the Templars, Desmond is quickly saved by Lucy Stillman, a member of the Assassin Order. The two escape and they return to Lucy's safe house, where Desmond meets Sean Hastings and Rebecca Crane, both members of Lucy's team. They show Desmond that they have built their own version of the Animus using plans that Lucy stole. Desmond re-enters the Animus, and he begins to live through the memories of Ezio Auditore, in hopes of learning the location of more pieces of Eden and training in the skills that Ezio learned to become an assassin, utilizing the bleed effect, which is where an individual in the Animus learns the skills of the person that they are becoming. Desmond lives through the life of Ezio, who was a carefree bachelor during the time of the Renaissance. However, Ezio's father and brothers were framed for treason by the magistrate, and Ezio is forced to flee with his mother and his sister. The trio retreat to the villa, an ancestral home of his family and the current home of his uncle Mario. As Ezio begins to explore the history of his family, Mario reveals that both he and Ezio's fathers were actually members of the Assassin's Order, and he begins to train Ezio in the skills of the assassin. With some training, Ezio sets out on his quest for revenge, his journey taking him through the Italian countryside and through the cities of Venice, San Gimignano, Florence, and Forli, as he hunts down anyone who aided the Pazzi and the Barrigo families, both of whom have ties to the Templar Order. Eventually, Ezio learns that Rodrigo Borgia is the Grand Master of the Templars and is planning to bring all of Italy under his control. So he disguises himself, setting out for Rome to stop the Borgia. It's here that he learns of the man's plans to use the Apple of Eden to unlock a vault that contains even greater power. Ezio attempts to defeat Borgia, but is defeated. And luckily, Mario and the other allies that Ezio has made in his quest of vengeance come to save the young man. Borgia escapes, but Ezio manages to retrieve the Apple of Eden. After this, Mario officially welcomes Ezio to the Assassin Order. Desmond leaves the Animus, continuing to feel the effects of the bleed, and he has learned new skills. And now he can see things using the eagle vision. He discovers strange glyphs that show images of a man and a woman holding the Apple of Eden, and the team believes that these images are Adam and Eve. So he goes back into the Animus to discover where did the Apple of Eden go, and that's when he begins to relive Ezio's memories from 1499. Rodrigo has become Pope Alexander IV, and Ezio sneaks into the Vatican City to challenge him. Better trained, Ezio quickly defeats the Pope in a fight, and allowing him to live because he's learned to not seek vengeance on individuals. After killing everyone to get there, Ezio takes possession of the papal staff, which is actually another piece of Eden. He places the Apple of Eden on the staff, and he unlocks the vault. Inside, he does not find a weapon, but instead a message left behind by a being known as Minerva, one of the Isu individuals. Much to Desmond's surprise, Minerva speaks directly to Desmond, knowing that he is watching the memory of Ezio. Ezio is wildly confused as he can't figure out who the woman is speaking to, and she basically tells him to shut up. His time is done. Minerva explains that she is a member of the first civilization, who we will later know as the Isu, and that she created humans to serve them. A great calamity swept over the world, wiping out the Isu civilization. Because of this, the survivors joined with their servants, and they built vaults across the planet where their technology could be preserved and hidden. She looks at Desmond, explaining that he has been chosen to fulfill the prophecy. And with these words, Minerva disappears, and both men are incredibly confused. But there is little time to decipher the strange vision as Abstergo agents raid the safe house. Desmond, Lucy, and the team are forced to flee once more, with Lucy explaining that her team has been tracking strange readings in Earth's magnetic field, and a solar flare will pass Earth very soon. They now believe this to be the same event that wiped out the first civilization, the Isu civilization, and once they find a safe location, Desmond will once again enter the Animus, hoping to discover a way to save the Earth. And that is the storyline for Assassin's Creed 2. Now, if you're new to this storyline, I replaced a couple of the key phrases with the phrases that they were called later in the series. Isu is actually the first civilization. At the time of Assassin's Creed 2, the Isu were not named, and we didn't really know who they were. But by the time we get to Assassin's Creed Origin, Odyssey, and Valhalla, we now know who they are, what their names are, and what their roles were. Don't forget to check back here at PSG next week as I bring you Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and we continue our coverage of Destiny, Fortnite, Pokemon, Overwatch, and all the other games we're covering here. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time right here.